Hello, welcome here or welcome back. My name is Michaela. I'm a wife, a mom, and a knitter from British Columbia, Canada, and this is Galanthus Knits. Hi, welcome here. Happy September. Today is the 1st of September that I'm filming this on, and it definitely still feels like summer outside. It is, it's not too hot today. It's like 24, I think, is the high of today, but we are sitting in a cloud of wildfire smoke right now, so it is very smoky, and there's kind of like an orange cast on everything outside, but it'll be over soon. It'll be over soon. This morning I put out the flower stand. We still have some flowers growing in the garden, and this summer we've been just putting out a stand out in the front yard, and people have been coming by and buying bouquets from us. So this is the first summer that we've done this. We started actually in the spring with tulips, and then we've been running it through the summer. So we mostly do zinnias, rudbeckia, Queen Anne's lace, feverfew, echinacea, which is all done now, and goldenrod. So I brought in a very autumnal colored bouquet to be in the house to get me excited for September. And yeah, today I would like to talk to you about some of my autumn knitting plans. I am very much looking forward to cooler weather and for cozy weather and for autumn as always. I think August is my least favorite time of the year. Yeah, I think so. I think it's the time of year that I'm itching to get out of the most. So it has been fun this year with all the flowers and whatnot in the garden. So I will say that. But yeah, by the end of summer, I'm really ready to say goodbye to it. Anyway, let's get to the plans that I have for the fall. So I have 4 plans that I kind of want to get to for this season, this fall season, which I consider to be kind of the beginning of September till the end of November, kind of going into December, but that's like really autumn to me is September, October, November. So I have been very much influenced by everyone on Instagram and on YouTube knitting the Vilma top by Gregoria Fibers, and it's kind of hard to show you because lace is always like super scrunchy before you block it, but this is my progress on it. I decided to go for this red-ish color. The color is actually called Rust. This is Briggs & Little Sport in the color Rust. I found this at the yarn shop in Hope, British Columbia, and I decided to go with this color because I would love more red in my wardrobe, to be honest. Every time I wear it, I always feel like it suits me really well, and I just don't wear it as often as I could. So I want to knit something kind of bold and red for myself. I've seen a lot of people do them in whites, the Vilma tops, that is, and green, and I was really leaning towards a green, but then when I went into the shop in Hope and saw this skein, I was like, this is pretty much my perfect red. It's not, red is so hard to pick up on camera, but I'm very picky about my reds. There are some colors that I kind of like all the shades of, and red is one of those ones that I am very picky about. This is a very, it says Rust. It's not an orange, it's definitely a red, but it's an orange leaning red. It's like a brownish orange leaning red. I do not like a like pinkish red or a berryish red. Yeah, it has to be more earthy leaning rather than, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Pinkish leaning. Anyway, and I don't like a super bold bright red. I need it to be more leaning into the browns and oranges, if that makes sense. Which this one is. I don't know if that picks it up on camera, if that picks up properly on camera at all, but Anyway, I have had a heck of a time with this pattern. It has given me a lot of gauge problems, and I don't really know what it is. I can't really figure out why. I have messaged multiple people who I know who are either knitting this or planning on knitting this to ask them what their opinion is, like what their experience was and why they think it was my issues, what they think my issues are coming out of, and no one could really give me a clear answer, which is fine. This is apparently my own issue, but I knitted a swatch for this and the swatch came out perfect. So I just decided to go ahead and knit it in the size 5 so that I could have, I was kind of between a 4 and a 5 in the recommended needles, which was a size 4mm. So I decided to go ahead and just start it, and it came out way too big for the size 5, which I thought size 5 might be a little bit too big, but size 4 might be a little bit too small, so I went with a size 5. It was absolutely massive. It could fit 2 of me in it, and I was like, okay, this is not right. I don't know what I'm doing, so I blocked it just to make sure it grew. It was even larger. I was like, okay, I need to start over. So I went down to a 3.5mm needle and a size 4 and started over. Same thing, absolutely massive. And I couldn't figure it out. I just, like, my swatch was perfect. I checked again and again and again, and I checked my gauge. Like, I measured my stitches in the pattern to see, like, if my gauge was the same as my swatch, and it was, but it was still absolutely massive. So I decided to start over again, but this time on a size 2, which should be too small for me, but is coming out to be pretty good, I think. You know, it's hard to try on when it's bottom up, but we try. So I'm knitting a size 2 in 3.5mm needles, which should not fit me, but does magically. So I'm hoping that this will be it. This will be perfect. I still have the bottom part of the size 4 that I started knitting, so I left it just in case I needed to, if this was way too small, I needed to go back to this or whatever. So this is the bottom. I blocked it, the bottom of the size 4. This is how long it is. And going around my body, like if I put it around my bust, it's, I don't know if you can even see that. It doesn't even have the button band yet, so that would add more width. And it's just too large. So, yeah, I decided to not go ahead and finish that one and start over with the size 2. The thing about this pattern that I found really confusing is that it starts with a provisional cast on. And I don't know, maybe somebody can explain to me why that was, because I can't figure it out, and I've asked a couple other people and everyone's like, I don't know. But the provisional cast on starts here, right above this garter line, so that you start the lace. You just go up and start the lace, and then you pick up those stitches later and you knit the bottom at the end. But I wanted to see how it all fit together, so I decided to knit the bottom after I finished this amount to connect it. It's fine. You can definitely see that there's kind of like a wave going on here, and I don't know if that's intentional in the pattern or if it's just because of the way that the stitches are here. But for my size 2 version, which is the one I'm going with, I decided to forgo the provisional cast on because I had already done it twice for the size 5 and the size 4, and I didn't want to have to do it again for the size 2 that I was making. So I decided to work the pattern backwards and just start from the very bottom. And this is how it looks. And to me, that looks basically the same, apart from the lack of that little wave. It sits a little bit more straight. Now it is wonky right now because I haven't blocked this one, but that sits a lot straighter than this version, which is very wavy. It's very hard to like hold both of these up at the same time, but I hope you can see what I mean. So I really don't know what the purpose was for the provisional cast on. I don't like doing provisional cast on. I don't like crocheting. And so it was just a big hassle. It took me so long to do it the 2 times that I did do it that I was like, I'm going to risk it with this one. And I think it's paid off. I don't see the reason why that was like that. So if you are knitting the Vilma top or about to, and you're confused by the provisional cast on as well, then I don't know, you can decide what you want to do. But I'm working it up from the very bottom by just reading the pattern like backwards, I guess, from that bottom section. And it's working out. I would love to have this finished before Knit City Vancouver, which is at the end of the month. So I think I'm well on track. Yesterday, I basically knitted this whole side section yesterday. And a little bit of, like a day and a half it took me. So I think I can finish the other side quite soon as well. So that's my first autumn plan, and I did start it. I started it the 22nd of August, so I did start it in the summer, obviously. But this is going to be mostly my September whip. So I thought I would just show you that. And so many people are knitting this right now. I know that this like pointelle style is really popular right now. Like, this is not quite pointelle, but it's inspired by pointelle, if that makes sense. Which the word pointelle was not something that I was familiar with in my vocabulary until like the spring when everyone started to rave about this style. But I do like it. It's really lovely. And I noticed that like a lot of my daughter's baby rompers had pointelle on them. So I was like, okay, I've seen this before. I just didn't really have a name for it. Anyway, I really like how it is turning out, and I think it will be really beautiful for all of the winter. I find red is such like a fall winter color to me, and I'm really excited to get some wear out of it. All right, the second fall knitting plan that I would love to get to this fall, but I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to finish it in the fall, is a like chunky, cable-y, cozy sweater or cardigan. And I know everybody's calling this like the Rory Gilmore sweater, so a lot of people are talking about that. It comes up every fall. People talk about the Rory Gilmore sweater, and you know the one. If I can find a picture of it, I can insert a picture. But something like that that's like inspired by Rory, and I haven't decided on my pattern yet. So here are a few patterns that I'm considering, and I would like to find the yarn for this at Knit City Vancouver. So I am hoping to maybe like buy a big cone of a white or a cream from somewhere like Kensington Prairie Farms, where they just have cones of their like alpaca. So that might be nice. I don't know. I think I'm going to think about these patterns, but then also decide based on what like weight of yarn I end up buying at the show. I don't know. Let me know if you think that's a good idea. But here are the patterns that I'm thinking of, and I'm looking down at my computer, so just keep that in mind. But I'll put the pictures up here and everything. So the first one is the Belmullet pullover by Andrea Gaughan. And it is a very, like chunky, cozy sweater with lots of different types of cables. And if you know me, I don't really like knitting cables, but I've never done it in a sweater, so I'm kind of itching to try it out. I might hate myself for this decision, or who knows, I might fall in love with cables. Last year I did like a cable scarf to try to make myself fall in love with cables, and I loved the scarf, but I was really mad about having to work the cables. So we'll see. It's a 17 stitch gauge and worked on 4.5 millimeter needles, which 4.5 is probably the biggest that I'm comfortable with my hands. Anything larger than that and I start to just like really struggle to get my gauge right and my hands to work properly. So 4.5 is like perfect. I am very much considering this one. The only thing is that like the way that my body is, I'm so much larger on the bottom than I am on the top. So pullovers that are kind of like full length ones that are not cropped, I like basically always have to do a split hem because there's not enough room for any sweaters for these hips to go into comfortably. So any sweater that's going to be full sized like length, I'm probably going to split hem it. Unless it's like super oversized and then maybe my hips can fit, but then up here it would just be like massive. So we'll see. I don't mind doing the split hem. The second pattern that I am considering is the Belle and Sebastian pullover by Sari Nordlund. And this one is a lot softer of a look than the Belmullet pullover, I feel. The cables just look really, rounder and softer rather than, I don't know, I don't want to say sharp. The other one wasn't sharp, but I hope you know what I mean. It's very, it looks drapier, maybe, is what I'm trying to say. And I've seen quite a few people knit this. I believe Florence Miller has knitted one. Maybe I'll have to go back and look to see what she says about that. This one is a 16 stitch gauge, so not very different, on 4.5 millimeter needles, which is perfectly comfortable. This one I have not, so I've knitted the Sari Nordlund pattern, like the scarf pattern that I did last year. I haven't knitted a sweater before, but I've heard a lot of people say that the sleeves are tighter on her sweaters, and that is something that I would be concerned about because my arm size is also like slightly larger than what my like waist and bust circumference is. So I carry all my weight in my arms and in my hips and bum. So it's that would be something that I have to consider if I was making this. But I think I would knit it at an oversized thing. So I'd probably do a size large. Around a size large, because I'm usually a size medium if I want it to be more like fitting properly. And of course I would do the split hem as well on that one. Okay, the third sweater that I am considering is the Sirena sweater by Cookie the Knitter. This one looks really nice, I think. I don't know that I like the long crisscross cable in the very, very front. So I'm not sure if I would just do like a moss stitch or something instead of doing that. I just feel like that's what draws your eye to the sweater, and I don't love that that's like the main feature. But that's perfectly easy to modify, I'm thinking. Yeah. So this one I'm really considering. I like that this one has a really long ribbing on the bottom, because that would be really easy to, I can visualize like what it would look like to have the split hem if it's like a longer rib. This one's a 16 stitch gauge on 5.5 millimeter needles. So that would be, I mean, quicker to knit up, but harder on my hands. Yeah, this one I'm really considering as well. I have made one other pattern by Cookie the Knitter, and I didn't have any problems with the construction or the way that she writes her patterns. So yeah, I don't really have any concerns with that one other than modifying that crisscross cable in the front. Okay, and then the last one is a cardigan, and this one is, it's tempting me so much because I've been drooling over this pattern since it came out, and I've seen a lot of people knit it, and every time someone knits it, I'm just like in awe of it. But that is the Siri cardigan, and that's by Lene Holme Samsøe, or Lene, and it's a 15 stitch gauge on 6 millimeter is the highest needle that they have listed on Ravelry. So it's just, is it too much? I don't know. But this is so scrumptious. Like, it's so, look how beautiful that is. I love moss stitch, and I like, the kind of cables that I like are these kind of soft ones that have like a center to them. I like that better than the one that just wraps around like that, or like the kind of triangular ones. I think this is my favorite type of cable. So that one I'm really considering, but it is a cardigan, so it's very different from the other ones. And I'm trying to decide if I need a cardigan or a pullover more in that chunky, cable-y style. I have not decided yet. I don't know if I will decide anytime soon. I think I need to go to Knit City and see what kind of yarn I can get my hands on before I make a decision. But I'm liking my options. There were a lot more that I was considering a couple weeks ago that I kind of ruled out already, so I've narrowed it down to this. Let me know if you've knitted any of these patterns and what you suggest or what you think about any of them. I would love to know any tips or tricks or opinions on anything, of course. So that is the sweater that I want to start after Knit City, obviously. So like my October project, but I don't know realistically if I can have it finished by the end of fall. It might be going on into the winter, but I still want to start it now. So there's that. Okay, 2 more projects that I want to get to this season, and I have yarn for both of them. The first one is, this is yarn I picked up 2 weeks ago. I hope the camera picks up this color because it's just insanely gorgeous. This is a sock yarn, and I haven't knitted a pair of socks in a year and a half, I want to say. So yeah, the fact that I picked this up and it's the color, I just keep looking at it. Like, it's so gorgeous. I think this is going to motivate me to finish a pair of socks because I haven't for a very long time. And I won't say I don't enjoy sock knitting. I don't know what it is. I do enjoy it when I do it, but I think it's a mental barrier to like get into sock knitting for me. But I really, really, really want to use this yarn. And this is a sock yarn, a superwash merino, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 2-ply fingering weight sock yarn from Sook Yarn and Fiber. And Sook is a town on Vancouver Island, which I visited 2 weeks ago on a little trip. And we stopped in Sook on our way to Juan de Fuca Provincial Park, and I picked up this skein. Sook Yarn and Fibers are also going to be at Knit City, Vancouver, so I'm going to definitely stop by their booth. I stopped by at Fiber West as well. So I'm excited to, it's like, okay, the color is called Mustard Love, and I don't really know why they've called it that because it does not remind me of mustard whatsoever, but it's very mossy. And there's like lighter colors and darker. It's just, this is like the darkest section right there. And it's more brownish on the other side. Oh, I just can't wait to see this knitted up. I'm so excited. So I think I'm going to be working on this. We'll see. We'll see how long it takes me to do the Vilma top. But I have a couple trips in October. One to Whistler with my family, like with my parents and my sister, and obviously my husband and daughter, and then one to Squamish with my friend, like a little girl, not little girl, like we're not little girls, but as in like a little trip. That's a girl's trip. A little girl's trip. Yeah, a girl's trip. But I would like to take this as my travel project during one of those trips, probably the first one, so that I can wear them on my second trip. So I'll take them to Whistler with me, maybe, over the weekend that we're there. Yeah, I haven't fully decided on a pattern quite yet, but I was looking at the Nest Socks by Katie Harrod, and I heard someone speaking about this pattern on a video, maybe last week. I honestly can't remember who it was. If I do remember by the time I'm editing this, I will write who it was on the side here, but I don't remember. But they said that there's a lot of different options for this sock. You can knit it on a couple different weights if you want to. And I haven't looked too far into it myself, but it looked like you could knit it on like a fingering weight or a DK weight, and you could anyway, there's modifications that you can make, and I want it to be a simple ribbed sock because I want the color to speak for itself. I don't want anything to kind of be hindering that look, like any lace or any cables or anything like that, even though I do love the look of a lace or a cabled sock. So yeah, this I'm really excited about. Very autumnal to me. Very like, this color just kind of like reminds, obviously it's very mossy, but the summers here in British Columbia have become so dry. They used to be very wet when I was a kid, and now they are very dry and very wildfirey, and all our moss kind of like dries up and shrivels, and the forest just doesn't look as lush anymore in the summertime as it does in the other seasons. And this to me is the color of when the moss gets that moisture back in the autumn and everything just pops up. Like, there's so much color here in the fall, mushrooms and moss and the leaves, the foliage, and the rain just brings out a completely different, like it washes away all of the dust that's been, kicking up all summer, and it's just, it goes back to this rich, rich color. That's what this reminds me of, is like when the rain comes back. Do you know what I mean? The last autumn plan that I have is to start on our Christmas stockings. So I have a skein of yarn for that, and I would like to make 3 stockings, one for me, one for my husband, and one for my daughter. And I think I'm going to do slightly different variation on each of them. I have this skein of yarn, which I picked up when I still lived in England. So at our local yarn shop in Chester, which is just the Abacan, which is like a chain. But they had a West Yorkshire Spinners fleece, 100% British wool, and it's a blue-faced Leicester. It is a very different green from the Souk one that I just showed you. This is definitely more like a pine or forest green, and this one's a moss, but this is more Christmassy to me. And I would like to do colorwork stockings with a white as well. So I think I'm going to do some of the stockings will be white with the green accent, and some of them will be green with the white accent, because I'm not going to get 3 stockings out of this skein. And I want to save a little bit more for if we have another child. So yeah, I haven't quite decided what they're going to look like. I think it will just be like a simple sock. I'm not going to make big stockings. They're just going to be little ones because we don't need that much stuff in them. They can be small. People used to put out their own socks as their stockings, and that's a lot of smaller of a size than the kind of stockings that we think of now in like our very commercialized and consumeristic Christmas that we've created in our culture. But yeah, I would like to make small stockings for each of us to just put like little treats in. And Hannah from Hannah G Knits, she posted that she's been doing stockings with her doodle deck. So she's been using the colorwork charts from her doodle deck to make the stockings. And I thought that was a brilliant idea because I have a doodle deck. I have the Rhinebeck one, so it's very autumnal, but it doesn't have to be. Like, leaves can be Christmassy as well if you do the right colors. And there's like sheep in there, there's an alpaca, there's I think apples, a bunch of different things. So I'm going to get my daughter to look at all of them and pick what motif she wants on her stocking. I think each of us will just have one motif, like on the cuff kind of our stocking, and then the rest will be just normal stockinette stitch to keep it simple. So I'll ask her what she wants, I'll ask what my husband wants, and then I'll pick one for myself. And yeah, we'll have like matching but not too matchy stockings. So I need to get on that. So actually, I have a lot of sock knitting to do this fall, because now I've just thought about it. This is also socks. So, oh well, we'll do it. We'll commit to it. I haven't quite decided on what white I'm going to use as the backdrop or main color, well, contrast color for some of them, main color for the other. But I do have quite a bit of random bits of white here and there around my stash that I'm going to have to look through and find. It'll be fine. I'm not too fussed about it. It doesn't have to be a specific type of yarn, I think. It just has to be a similar weight. So yeah, that is my last pattern that I'm going to be working on for the fall. You may have noticed that I'm not doing any baby knits or kid knits during this season, and I usually always have like a baby or kid knit on the needles, and this is me saying that I'm not going to not do that, but it's just not in my firm plans. So I'm sure there'll be a baby knit or a kid knit on the needles. Although I was going through my daughter's like stash of clothing of like the things that she's about to grow into or for the next season, just to sort through what I need to put into her wardrobe now. And there's actually 4 sweaters that I've knitted. One of them is a cardigan. So 3 sweaters and a cardigan that I knitted for her that are like ready to go for this next winter. And I'm like, oh, there's 4. How did I knock out 4 garments for her and not even realize that's how many I did? Anyways, I think she's set. I will take a break for now, but she'll probably need like a pair of mittens or a new hat or something like that. So of course I'll be always knitting something for her, and one of these stockings will be for her as well. So I can't not knit for kids. I just can't. I love it so much. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I would love to know what your plans are for the fall. I love watching the videos of people saying what their plans are for the next season. So yeah, I would really like to know kind of what is on your needles, and if you've picked up any inspiration from anyone else as well. Like, I know some of these have been very much influenced by what I've seen from other knitters online. So yeah, I would like to know if you've been influenced to knit something like the Vilma top, or I don't know, another popular pattern. Thanks for watching.